So you've coached a lot of business owners, right? What type of business do you think, if you were to like, hey man, go start this business, for me to make, I'm not even gonna say seven figures. Let's say 10 million plus.
Okay.
What industry or like what kind of service do you, what kind of business do you think would be like the best methodology to go through it? Like, for example, service based, product based, or should I go raise VC capital and like, start my own like next Facebook? Like what,
Wow.
like what would you think is like the greatest route to like accomplishing that kind of wealth?
Well, I think the first thing I would ask somebody is when you look at your raw talent, the stuff that you gravitate to, are you more product task based or are you more people based?
Huh.
You very rarely find somebody who has high degrees and equal components of both. They usually favor working by themselves, working on projects, building things, getting things done, or working with and directing other people. So that's the first thing you have to really look at, because depending on what you put together, you may be in the wrong lane of the highway. So you got to look at that first. The second thing I would look at is, where is the economy going? I mean, we've all been kind of in techno land for a lot of years now. I don't know where AI is going to take us. I'm sure it'll just be another dimension of everything that's been built to this point.
Sure.
But a lot of times I'll tell people, if you have a penchant for dealing, successfully with people, that's the one element in commerce that's probably never going to go away. Now, some things can be replaced, but if what you provide actually helps other people in their jobs, their businesses, some other element that interpersonal relationships are key to, that's what you should look at, because that's where you're going to thrive. And when people realize that not only are you good at what you do, but you love what you do and you're doing it for their benefit, you'll make a success out of whatever that looks like. And then the real question is, if it gets big enough to where it's starting to get away from you, then you have to decide how you're going to scale that and what size you want it to become.
How much of it has to do with luck?
Well, I think there are plenty of examples where people started businesses for the right reason and they just happened to be at a moment in time where some major shifts were taking place. And so they just happened to be in the right spot and things just took off on them.
Yeah, because like you look at like take Steve Jobs as an example, his whole story, right? When he met Steve Wozniak was already working on the computer and he just saw the product and he's like, oh, this is great. Let me go pitch it, right? So I feel like he was just in the right place at the right time, and he just had that motive to like push. And he, Apple's the freaking biggest company in the world now, but. I've always been curious about that, because like I've also met a lot of people who have all these characteristics and do all these things but don't get really anywhere.
Yeah, and one of the other things that's key to being able to scale a business to the levels that you're talking about is you have to be able to have a good network of resources. Good example, back in the early 90s, Amazon was a bookseller. You go online, you buy books. That's all they had. But over a 15-year period, they started investing in making this a much bigger marketplace online. All right. Back then, of course, the internet was just kind of starting up to a point where, most people had some computer tube that was green and little white letters would go across it. And, that was what you got off the internet. It wasn't like what we have today. But back then, the whole idea of being able to go online, find what you want, hit a button and order it, have it paid for, and show up on your doorstep the next day was fantasy. Nobody had that. Okay?
Now they have like a delivery within 2 hours.
Right. So, but what you had in that whole example was you had a company that for 15 years lost $250 million every single quarter. The amount of money that they sunk into creating the infrastructure that does what we all take for granted today took time and massive amounts of money. Now, he didn't have all that in his back pocket.
No.
He had a ton of investors with a lot of money and no innovation skills that decided supporting him was the right thing to do. And I tell people this all the time. I said, sure, Amazon has now become the de facto marketplace where you can buy anything you want right on your computer, on your phone, right? Get it the next day. What do you think they really changed in terms of the human condition? What do you think their invention really changed?
It's kind of like TikTok. I feel like the patience on what's it called? How quickly you want something has become like it's like a must. Like I've met kids who would be like, oh man, I ordered this thing and it took a week to come and they're pissed. You know, they're annoyed.
That whole business model completely changed.
The instant gratification.
Logistics.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Logistics forever. I mean, before you could have companies ship stuff to you. Might take a week or 10 days.
Wow.
You'd pay money for that shipping. No, there was no free shipping. You want it shipped, here's what it cost. That was the standard back then, 20, 30 years ago. Today, everybody else has had to meet that demand of being able to ship stuff out within a couple of days and do it free.
Yeah, how scary is the infrastructure of like UPS, USPS, and then even Amazon's delivery structure?
Right.
Like, how scary is it to where something like overnight shipping across the country exists? How scary is that infrastructure that there is some truck who's conveniently going in that direction that will make that delivery available? Like,
Oh, I'm just driving down the street. I'm going to stop off at Joe's and dump this box.
like how large is your infrastructure to where it's just like, oh yeah, we probably have like 6 trucks going that way anyways.
So what's funny, speaking about that. So we all have ordered from Amazon before. I'm used to the whole Prime 1 day, 2 day shipping. I think it was like 2-3 months ago, I ordered a couple, I think, lotions and like camera equipment and stuff like that. And I just I don't even remember. I just went place order. They make it so easy to buy. Right. And then I leave the house and I come back an hour and a half later and it's on my doorstep. Right. And I'm like, wait, what? This there's no way. This is probably something else. And I open it up. It's exactly what I'm like, how in God's name did you get like, I feel like a human being will take longer to just like literally get the package.
Bro, Adam, soon enough, you're going to wake up thinking about a product and before breakfast, it's going to be at your door.
You're going to think about it. And the next time you go on Instagram, it's going to be the ad that you first see.
Yo, dude, no, that's scary. That's scary. I'm not even
Neuralink, man.
Neuralink. No. Honestly, it trips me out because some part of me is just like, is this like revelation? Can I still believe that like God has like destined for me to think about something? Or do they have these abilities now to like go into my brain and understand what my thoughts are? Because I swear to God, I'll be thinking of like a funny video or a meme or whatever, or a product. I won't even say it out loud. And then next thing I know, a few swipes later, it comes up on Instagram. And I'm just like...
Yeah, no. Have you looked into Neuralink at all?
No, absolutely
they're
not.
talking about like the things like, for example, like it'll eventually be able to read thoughts.
It'll put a chip in you like your pet.
Yeah. I could just look at you.
We're skipping that as soon as possible.
I could just look at you and we could just communicate through thought.
Dude, that sounds boring, dude.
Yeah, I know. But
that's actually kind of scary. That's actually kind of scary, bro, because it's like, how am I going to suppress all my inappropriate thoughts? You know what I mean?
Well, maybe there's like a mute button or something.
Not everything you think about needs to be known by everybody.
Oh, right. No, for sure. No, please, God, no. Oh, my God. But no, I remember, I will never forget that experience because I remember opening that package and saying, like, there's no way like a human being took the product, packaged it, put it on a truck, and delivered it in under an hour and a half. Like, I feel like just the time it takes just to package something should have taken longer.
Okay, so Amazon did this thing called last mile delivery. And over in Mission Viejo, there's a huge Amazon distribution center over there. And it's only been there for, I don't know, maybe 2 years.
Where?
It's off of Geronimo. When you get that High Park, there's a commercial area over there, and they must have bought like a huge building. But in the morning, if I'm going down El Toro Road at a certain time, I can see a line of Amazon trucks coming up Geronimo, getting ready to get on El Toro. And there's like 8 or 9 of them.
Are you talking about the RV building? Like they used to sell RVs there and stuff?
It was some big building that was vacated, and they came in there and they bought it and they repurposed it for this. But that's what allows people to show up at your house at 9 o'clock on Sunday night. And you're thinking, what the hell are they doing out there? Well, that's their route. You know, they've got 24/7 people just driving around, and they just go pick stuff up and they go out. Some of these Amazon drivers make some really big money for doing that.
Yeah, no, they even Amazon even has a system, right, where it's almost like an Uber design, right? It's almost like an Uber system where it's like you just sign up, and with your own car, you go pick up a few packages from their centers, and then just go deliver it to a couple of addresses, and then just you can do that multiple times a day. And
if you want to be a last mile delivery service, they have a program. Well, they will invest and they will train you and help you get up and running so you can do that. I mean, we had a car show up one Saturday, and I'd never heard of this before. It's called Piggy Car. Who the hell came up with that name?
I've heard of it.
It's a piggy car.
I've heard of it. I've seen it. I don't know
There's
where
been
I've seen
several
it.
times where they've come and dropped off Amazon stuff. So they're a contractor to help Amazon with their last mile delivery. So that's the kind of innovation that very few people become a part of. I mean, Walmart's another example. You know, back in the early 70s, Walmart had one store in Bentonville, Arkansas. That was their home. That was where the
Holy
family
smokes.
was. And, you know, as of maybe 20 years ago, they became the largest retailer in the world.
Wow.
So you're always going to have examples of families or pioneers or people that start from fairly humble means, and something just catches fire, and all of a sudden people start throwing money at them, and other people get involved, and before you know it, it's growing like crazy. But that's not the normal business. I mean, you know, 50% of small businesses every year that start up go out of business within 2 years.
Yeah, I know that's like a scary number. Because I mean, I feel like especially since like COVID hit, there's been a lot of like wannabe entrepreneurs who like were like, oh, it sounds cool, so let me just give it a shot. You know, and it's like a lot more than just let me just give it a shot.
Well, they're the folks that develop something in their garage, and their neighbors and their family really like it, and somebody comes and says, why don't you make a business out of this? And so they do. And sometimes it becomes an official business. You know, they have to move out of the garage and find retail space or commercial space. And other times it never leaves the garage, and it just becomes an expensive hobby, you know? So yeah, I mean, it really gets back to, does the individual believe enough in themselves and what it is they're trying to grow to stay the journey? Because the journey is what will kill you if you don't stay on the road long enough.